Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Mic check. Can you guys hear me? All right. I just lost the chat somehow. What happened? Hope everybody's doing well. Okay, there we go. Awesome. Awesome. Cool. Thanks for joining. Bear with me as we're just kind of setting up streaming here. I need to join the live stream real quick. One sec. Hey, Space Monkey, are you there? See, he might have had to step out, but that's okay. Should be good to go here. Hope everyone's doing well. Everybody in the Discord, we are also live on X as well. So if you guys have questions, we'll also be doing some questions and answers. So if you want, you can drop questions in the chat, whether you're on Discord, X, YouTube, wherever you're at. Feel free to drop some questions. Just going to be watching the market here. Let me get my trading view up. Cool. So got a lot to talk about. A lot of good trades today to discuss. We can get into some review. Also trading right now as well. So can kind of cover what we're looking at in the market right now. S&P just kind of back tested the 62.87. We're in this negative gamma landscape here, which if you're not new to gamma, I'll try to keep this pretty straightforward. But basically, we can see some volatility around this spot. And if the 62.87 spot fails, we're looking at a move to 62.70. But we've seen some pretty strong positioning build around the 6,300 spot. So this can be sticky. And you can expect to see a little bit more volatility within this range from here. So a little bit of caution. I bought some puts today, a little bit ago, as a small trade, just using some profits we got in on this test here due to the this kind of test in this gamma zone. So looking good so far. Took half off for profit and just looking to ride the rest. So seeing if we can get a little bit of some OPEX action into the close. So just going to plan to hold that. See if we can get a push into this 62.70 area. If so, those will obviously pay quite nicely. And then if not, it's risk-free from here. Also watching Netflix. So Netflix is a really strong op today. A little bit harder, maybe a little bit more nuanced than what we typically, some of the playbook trades that we focus on. But this turned into a really good op. And my expectation is for a close near the lows. We're respecting this 1217. But there's a bit of a put wall at 1200 that's acting as support right now. So really nothing to do here but watch. I'm sitting in some risk-free runners. If this cracks 200, I'm targeting 1188 for a fast move down to the lows. So we'll see if we can get that. Market alignment looks pretty good so far. All right. Just getting situated here. Take a look at the chat. We are buzzing today. There's a lot going on. Even though it's OPEX, oftentimes this is like one of the worst days to trade. Today was really, really good. We went over the significance of 0 DTE leverage with the active themes that we have in the market right now. So the crypto theme, the risk on theme that we have present in the market created a really unique opportunity today because of the zero DTE. So, I would say we crushed it, capitalized really well. There was even some trades that I feel like were a bit missed. I was, looking at this circle. The chat already knows I was a bit bummed missing this turn on circle. The upside played out great, but also the downside turn was very similar to SMCI in February 2024. It reminded me a lot of that. It's not quite the same, but very similar kind of vibe. That also aligned on zero DTE as well. Really, really good opportunity. And while most of the time, there's like a negative sentiment toward zero DTE, and understandably so. Um, it's it can provide when the situation is like it is now, or the context of some of these really big themes and plays that are setting up with the market. The leverage is actually great. Like, you want to have that leverage. Um, and today played out perfectly. We talked about that on the market recap last night, going into today, and then this has just proven to be honestly one of the best days of the year if you're prepared for it, right? Because of that zero DT leverage and the way that this is set up. So Circle was really, really good. Coin was really, really good. Netflix was really good. Netflix is harder to catch. I was very quick on the open on this. I was looking to see if it could, set up intraday off this 1231 spot, but we just went straight through it. And these 1200 puts went from, I was watching them at 2 around the open, and by the time I got in, it was like three plus almost $4, and they went really, really quickly to like $8 or $9. So now just sticking with this trade. So just a quick review of Netflix. I'm actually added some to the position here on this 1217 back test, added some puts back. And again, this 1200 put wall might be tough, but if it cracks, I think this can close on low of day. So this is looking really good. Let's see, we actually had multiple trades here. So let me just pull up my timestamps real quick so I'm accurate. New all-time highs for the account challenge. So we started account challenge a while ago. I did a review yesterday, and we are out to new highs. We're up about 53% right now. Let's see what the Netflix. Okay, so let's see, 945. Put the roll on. Let me just make that bigger. There we go. I'll go ahead and mark up Netflix here. So we entered somewhere on this candle. It was like right off the open. It was immediately 9:30 and 59 seconds timestamp on that. And then took profit very quickly at 881 at 9:32. It was literally almost a minute trade that went from 380 to 881 was the exit. And then 945 was when we added the roll up right here on this rejection here. Roll. All right, and then that's 531. Add roll up. I'll just go ahead and mark this up while I'm here doing it. Price alert on Circle, guys, under 224. That's hard to look at for me right now, if I'm being honest. I don't usually get very emotional, but I've studied a lot of these top ops, and Circle is just just the pattern recognition was really firing off for me when I saw that turn. And then, to be completely honest, I think I was being responsible, recognizing that I was frustrated that I missed it and not chasing it. At the same time, this maybe there is an argument to have put a little bit of risk on, maybe just size down, because I think this was really, really good. So I just finished getting this marked up.
What's up, Matei?
Hey, Space Monkey, what's going on, man?
Not much. Circles back to 222.
You had to do it to me, didn't you?
Ah, go, man. Thick skin over here.
Yeah,
Thick skin panda.
yeah, for sure.
Nice call out though.
Yep. Can't catch them all. I mean, you can if you just buy it and ignore the noise, but it's all good. Good one to study. Great one to study. I mean, if you go to February, I think it's 16th, 2024, and look at SMCI off the open, a little bit different context because SMCI was like more of a trap above all time high, and then it turned. But it had the previous day had that like parabolic run MCI that was very, the last 2 days dips off the open, shorts have no control. The last 2 days dips off the open, shorts have no control. We kind of spray up through the highs, and then today in particular, that speed at up to 260s was, very very fast, very clearly shorts getting beaten up, and then but on the turn, it's like if you're short, you have to gain control below 300. You can't let the stock get anywhere near 300, and so understanding that context, like once we dip back even to 250, you don't even have to catch the turn aggressively. Like once you're back testing at 250 and that cracks, it's like who's going long, right? Like after that
Right.
cracks, and then it's just the shorts are like, okay, we have some control, and they pile on, and you're kind of also fading the news a little bit. They've been so hot, so that all of that on top of zero DTE is just like that's why I was
Yeah.
like acting the way I was because I recognize how big of an opportunity that was. Um,
Yeah, you saw it immediately.
yeah,
Remember you calling it out. And actually, I was like contemplating going long, but then when I heard you explain that live, I was like, okay, maybe I should just watch it.
yeah,
Not trying to buy that dip or whatever. So that played out really nicely. So thank you.
yeah, yeah, for sure. And I agreed with the dip buy if it held right. Like you could easily have sprayed higher, even for a scalp. That could have been really nice, but once that failed, it just happened so fast, right? It was like they
Yeah.
kind of reacted at 248, 250, got a little bit of a bounce, and then it was like boom, it cracked. And once it cracked, I knew it was like okay, game over.
Mhm. So because I'm joining the live stream a little bit late, I'm sorry to make my coffee. What have you
All good.
talked about? Where are we? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I was just marking
Catch me
up
up.
Netflix, honestly. I was just talking through that trade a little bit. I'm marking it up, my executions on the chart. I'm just marking that up at the moment. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just talking about, I just briefly had mentioned the situational awareness with zero DTE today and the active themes that we have and how, most people for good reason are very, like there's a, zero DTE has a bad rap a lot of times for good reason. But the context today is just like the leverage is actually a very very strong positive with some of these setups that we have. Just the positive skew that you create because of it is just kind of crazy. And you're seeing it. We
Yeah.
talked about that last night in the recap, and you're seeing it play out on multiple names. Circle, Coin, Netflix, etc. So MSTR as well. I think that was it had the like massive fight at 457, and at a certain point, once you saw Circle, and this is me, reviewing. I didn't put this together in real time, but once those did start to go, you could have been quick to pivot to MSTR and think, okay, well, this is the one that's been struggling the most, lagging behind. So if you get you have a very clear risk against 456. Could have gotten short there, maybe thought about that. So zero DTE with these names, just offering, these are like month makers, right? Even maybe quarter maker type opportunities, I think. So that was pretty much it so far.
Yeah. No, good stuff. I'm just noticing Amazon doing some good, uh, nice reversal. Amazon intraday and daily setting up really nicely for a push towards those highs. Earnings on July 31st. So let's see what they do with this one next week. But it's been a harder trade for a while, and it's just been trickier to catch these plays. But let's see what earnings does. I'm always excited about earnings because of the potential new plays that we could get, you know, that become available to us.
Yeah.
Every quarter, you have these, stocks that perhaps might have fallen out of play for a quarter or two, and then they report good results, and then they're back in play. It could set up some new opportunities, some nice new opportunities for us. So let's see if Amazon is one of those, but worth paying attention to. Things this quarter is going to be very, very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Definitely.
coin. Did you talk about coin at all?
Go ahead. Not specifically too much, more broadly. I didn't really get into it yet.
Yeah, it's an ugly daily, honestly. Ugly reversal candle here. Popped into 445. Which we traded this one pretty much all the way, but that daily is really ugly here as we're back below previous all-time high, 429. Let's just say 430.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this looks like a blow-off top of sorts, but we'll just have to wait and see. I think it's important to see what it does around 400. That 400 has been contentious. Once we broke it, we made that move to 445. So for now, I think in the next week or so, coin, unless something crazy happens in the day, needs back above that previous all-time high. So if you did not trade coin this week or today, watch for that recovery of that previous all-time high 430. If you could do that, then the shorts have failed to push it back lower, and then you might be in for a ride back to 445 and then higher than that. So just kind of like a small plan for me, at least, what I'm going to look for in the next week or two.
Nice. Yep. Because I'm looking to lock in profits on the 6280 put. If we hold this spot, there's a flip here from negative to positive gamma. Oftentimes those flip spots can be a little bit sticky. So what I'm looking at is just giving this a second here, but if it cracks, great, and then the peak target is 6270. It can get a little bit more grindy, but you can always roll up, so I'm just kind of watching. I want to make sure I protect the profits if we start to bounce here. And then roll to the 6260s for kind of an end-of-day setup.
You guys are trading MP with me. Nice little turn here. Nice little turn. Nice little check back to the 9 on the 10 on reversing higher. MP. I don't know, Panda, if you saw me take a position in this one, but I took 62 calls for next week actually.
I did. I briefly saw it. I did. I didn't get the
Okay.
chance to like really look, but that was. I know we've been talking about it. I actually don't know what it's done. Oh wow, really nice. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
So
A plus bullish this morning was like definitely stand out.
yeah, it was tricky though, right? Like this intraday action before the push,
Mm-hmm.
before we got that momentum, it was trading within a very small range, 60. Let's just say 61, 59. But what I liked about this is, if you look across the last 4 days on the 10-minute chart.
Mm-hmm. Give me
You want to call
one
that out?
sec if you don't mind. I
Yeah.
have to manage this put on SPX here. One
Yep.
sec, sorry. Okay, because we're in a little bit of a sticky spot.
You want to focus on that, and I can just talk about MP.
Yep. Go ahead. I just can't
Okay.
put it on the stream
So-
at this second. Oh yeah, I can.
Yeah.
I'll put it.
MP.
There you go.
So MP, what I'm liking about this is that obviously it had a huge move on the daily higher, and then it has since just consolidated. I use volume profile. That's the purple bars, bar charts that you see over here, and you can see how these are pretty aligned, right? They're just horizontally aligned really nicely. You have, and so that just shows us where the the most volume within each day has been trading, and you can see that the range has been here. Also, you can see that they're lining up really nicely. Almost, you can also just draw a rectangle, roughly. You can see that most of the volume for MP after the squeeze higher has been trading with this rectangle. So what that means is we've been trading in a balance area or in a range. The market has two modes: imbalance, balance. This is balance. So after imbalance, this squeeze higher, we have balance. So that's just like buyers and sellers digesting the move. There's a little bit of a fight, right, between the sellers and the buyers, trying to figure out where the fair value is. And so at TWI, I've been watching this, bounce area, high area, around 61, 6150. Been watching for that push out of it, right? And so as far as like balance rules, you trade the direction of the breakout. So up here, you trade the move out of bounds towards that next resistance level. For me, that's 65. And then if it was a breakdown here, you would trade this direction down. But considering we're just breaking out now, we're looking at calls. So I started sensing momentum. Reading some premium, you can see that there are some nice activity in the next week calls, and gave myself a little time on this one. But took those 62 calls for next week. We're trading now in the money, and I caught it right here. So it popped through the highs, pulled back on the back test over here around 60, I think it was. I went for a long, targeting 62, 80, and took next week's call. So those are playing out really nice. I already took half off, but expecting this one to move towards 65. This could come today. We'll see what this does, but just a pretty nice way of trading, like an in-play momentum play, right? So meaning, looking at the daily, you can see that it loves to gap up, it loves to consolidate, and then it loves to push back up higher. So this last gap up saw a real nice momentum. There's a lot of people talking about MP. It's kind of it became a part of the vocabulary of traders. We started looking at it. So when that happens, that makes it in play for me. And the price action was or is constructive. It just feels like it wants to push higher. So just taking a stab at it here. And so this one could continue. I'm targeting these levels up here. So we'll see. Let's see if we could break high day today for a continuation move.
A good explanation. Very nice. Good example of stock selection, right? It's like when stocks in play stay in play, and if you miss certain trades, often they'll, like you said, set up for a secondary trade. Even coin guys, like if you consider coin or circle, right? Like there was two big trades today, and it's okay. Don't have to catch everything, but say you miss out on the upside move, it actually set up a pretty nice downside fade as well. Sometimes it sets up, in the same direction. Like Hood the other day set up a really nice flag after the breakout, like a little mini flag and check back in the secondary entry. So you'll see that a lot of times. I think the main point outside of stock selection is, if you're not confident in an entry or it's not, lining up for you, it's always best just to sit on hands and wait because there's generally going to be a second opportunity. And if there's not a second opportunity, then you would just wait for the next trade. It's better than losing capital for no reason, or for being eager or too antsy. So
Honestly, like that last bit is so true, and I think that's the trap that many traders fall into, which is like they get very excited and very eager to catch that trade. And
yeah.
most of the time, it's because of FOMO. So you have to learn how to control that, and look at things objectively, and just trade the charts. Right? It's as you said, it's like a good trade will set up again. It's just a matter of being there and catching them. I talked briefly earlier about like obsessively following a stock or setup, right? So like I feel like I was a little obsessed with this coin trade,
Yeah.
But it's just how I narrow down things, right? I become very focused. There are thousands of stocks out there, so this is a way for me to kind of focus in on that setup and start kind of realizing or seeing things that maybe others don't. I know you do the same thing with the stocks that you select, but once you start obsessing about certain setups, certain stocks, certain ways a name is moving, you start noticing things that maybe others don't, and so you can be
Yeah.
there when the move actually happens.
Yeah. Building a narrative in trading is something I think is so important, and it's something that does definitely come with experience. So you'll hear terminology, from us like top ops and big, whatnot, and almost in every case, there's like a lot of people learn technicals. You have to start there. Like you start with technicals. A lot of retail traders, especially, charting and this that and the other, and you can trade off of that and it kind of whatnot, but reading the story that the price action is saying and building conviction or building a narrative is what builds conviction in a trade. And that's honestly, it's to increase risk exponentially, you have to have conviction and confidence, right? And I think those storylines and narratives that are shaping, it doesn't always play out how you think, or the timing isn't always perfect as well. But every top op or every big trade I've ever had, it's been like that, just recognizing the story and the price. That's why I reacted the way I did with Circle, being upset I missed it, because I've studied SMCI in February 2024 and MSTR in
Yeah.
November, and like all these opportunities. It's because there's like some kind of rare narrative that adds a little extra weight than just a technical setup, right? So
Yeah. Yeah, but I remember you catching that first, uh, should we call it blow off top circle, right? Like the first one, that 300 reversal.
yeah.
I mean, you were there, maybe not at the 300, but you traded, I believe, it was the sub 200 or sub 222 or something like that.
Hmm.
I know you and I caught that move into that 176 that one Friday, not too long ago. Um, so, I don't know what I was trying to say with that, but I just want to. I guess you're very good at identifying these kind of setups and catching them. Today you might have not, but nonetheless you called it out. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
it's pretty cool. It shows that you put in the time.
Sure. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the one thing just for people listening that might be newer that I like wish I had someone tell me is, putting the reason for putting in that time is important, right? The reason why is because I, through years of trading, realized that, in the hard way, that trading is super unforgiving. And like the fat tail risk of trading is like, fundamentally, you can be very good for a very long stretch of time, but you'll hear a lot of stories where traders will like have success and then they'll blow an account up, or they'll have a handful of trades just totally wipe out their progress. The reason for that is because of how liquid the markets are, and how scalable this business is in both directions. Like as good as it is, it can also it's equal to the downside too, right? Like if you get careless, and don't have systems for a drawdown or something, you can do really really well and then blow it up. So the point of me saying that is, while that is also true, I've learned that the smallest percentage of opportunities are usually where the majority of gains come from, right? It's those, which just logically makes sense, right? Because the markets are meant to be efficient. Like you're, if it was easy just to come in and make money every day in any stock, like everyone would do it, right? So like you're competing with some of the biggest money in the world as a trader. So uh, and the market's very very good at pricing information in, and faster than we can oftentimes think about it. But there are these cases where something is acting a little bit more inefficiently, or there's a lot of people there that are causing it to get priced in, like these themes that we'll see, like crypto lately, or any of the risk on themes. And so the point of what I'm saying is that I understanding that's what's driven the effort to say, okay, like the day to day stuff, I have a good foundation, I can kind of enter the market and look and see what's moving in trade. But if I want to really move the needle, I've got to study what were the best trades, and that's what's influenced my process from the top down of like the top ops database that we fill out daily that can feel very mundane. It's just a simple task of asking like what worked today, what worked, what didn't. And then through that process, you realize, oh, like sometimes there's these setups that just work super well. And a lot of in the past, and myself included, are just like, oh yeah, that was like an outlier. It was a really good day. And then maybe you made money, maybe you didn't, and then you move on with your life. It's like if you want to capture the next one, you have to really study it, like understand like what the heck was going on at the best that you can, right? It's a process. Like I think it takes longer because there's less of them because they're more rare opportunities. But when you study even just a handful of like the biggest moves in the market, both the price action, the narrative, and all of that, then once you see like a circle today in real time, you're like, oh, like I've seen this before, and you can you can pivot really quickly. And like even with all that being said, like today, I mentally pivoted, but the execution didn't happen, right? So even it's not perfect, but the effort is there for that reason, to try and do our best to align with these bigger opportunities when they're presented. So anyway, that's like the underlying motivation behind it. Somebody asked a question. The terminology and mindset you have seems similar to SMB, Trade Desk. Were you a trader there? It's a good question. No, was not or am not. But I actually am. I do know their content well. Years ago, I found them on I think YouTube. Spent a little bit of time like studying some of their concepts, and honestly, uh, kind of fell off from following that for a few years, and then like I would say recently, they've done a really good job of creating some really good content that I've definitely paid attention to. More so because one of our best stories. So also shout out to them. Like they do some really good content, and I like their focus. But one of our like my favorite story to tell is one of our biggest success stories is um, from a trader that started trading with me, and through years of asking millions of questions and learning, actually ended up getting to work there. So really really cool story. I won't get into the details, but I do like what they've got going on. I think Lance over there does a fantastic job explaining concepts and content. So can't say enough nice things about what they're working on. But yeah, so they're probably the way I talk, you'll probably hear some overlap. That's totally natural just because of that. But any other questions from the chat? Feel free to. You guys are welcome to ask if you want us to review anything. Let us know if there's certain charts you're watching or setups you're watching. You want us to talk about it. Feel free to post in the chat. We'll hang out for a little bit.
What are your thoughts about earnings season, upcoming earnings season? SPX near all-time highs. We have seen a little bit of a laggard kind of. Well, price action in some of the big tech names have been a little laggard, but it's also a mix, right? You have Microsoft putting new all-time highs. You have Amazon not, right? Google as
Mm-hmm.
well. Meta's pulling back. Like, what are your thoughts regard like big picture regarding earnings season coming up?
Yeah, it's a great question. I was also very curious what your perspective is. I think the disconnect is obvious. Like we've talked about the Mag 7, like uh, overall market, really big recovery, of course. And uh, I'm very curious to see what happens. I don't have a strong opinion. I think, there's certain names that are leading. Obviously, Microsoft is leading higher than you have names that are lagging like Apple. Amazon's like looks like it's on the precipice of a big push to all-time highs. So I'm very, keen on that one. I'm kind of the view that is this earnings season, going to be what like sustains this market move to the upside, or is it the excuse or reason for us to get a nice like healthy pullback? Like if the market's got a 2 to 3% pullback or even 5%, I think a lot of people would welcome that, and it wouldn't be overly concerning. It could be a nice reset. And sometimes,
Yeah.
you know, like the earnings cycle can create that. Like, what's the narrative being built into it? Obviously, tariffs have been a huge conversation this year. We're now a couple quarters in. What's is there material impact downstream? Like, what's how's the narrative being built? And I mean, right now is this market recovery has just been so led by liquidity. Um, but is that going to be what breaks it a little in the short term, or is it also what could just push us higher? Are names like Amazon that have been slightly lagging behind? Is that going to help push us higher to new highs? Apple going to turn the corner and get through 215 and run. So I guess I'm always kind of like a wait and see mindset. I'll never predict, but that's the different like scenarios I could see. But I'm curious as to what your perspective would also be on that.
Yeah, good stuff, man. I think we just had a 20, almost 22% correction SPX, and I find it funny when people are like, "Oh, we're all time highs. We need to pull back," and when the pullbacks come, people are hesitant to buy in those pullbacks. So recent pullback was just a couple of days ago into 6,200. We traded 6,300 plus. And we're just kind of riding the 9-day moving average of the SPX. So for me, like it's a healthy market, even with everything flying around. And it's kind of like my point. You have tariffs, you have yeah, just threats like nuclear war threats. You have all kinds of stuff that are being thrown at this market, and people talking about how investors running away from the U.S. Equity game and they're rotating into other places in the world, which is true to a certain extent. But like they make it sound like you know the U.S. is not investable anymore. And I'm looking at the charts and like, what the hell are you looking at? Uh, you know, like the
Yeah.
charts are just showing me that dips are being, bought up. And, you know, example was the AI play. Oh, AI is done, right?
Mm-hmm.
NVIDIA, for example, NVIDIA moved from, all-time high, it was around 150, 152, moved all the way down to 87. People were buying 150, but they weren't buying 87. Uh, calling the AI trade done, and it's whatever. And Nvidia's trading at 172. They're buying Nvidia at 170, 172, 175. So that's my long-winded way of saying is like earnings going to be interesting because it often doesn't have the same effect that people were like expecting, right? Meaning like unless earnings season, you know, if you look at it broadly, like if everybody just sucks, right? If everybody reports really poor numbers, then okay, that might have an effect on SPX due to many things that we're not gonna get into here. But if you have some that are doing well, you have some that are doing poorly. If Google reports really well and you know can prove that quantum is something they can make money off, and all of that AI, they're also in the AI game, for example. So if they do that, maybe money will rotate, right? It will rotate from a high flyer like Microsoft into the names that are perhaps not doing as well, like Amazon and Google, maybe Apple to a certain extent as well. So I guess my opinion is that open mind going into earnings season. I think earnings season is exciting. I think once you recognize what earnings season actually is, you become a little more excited. You kind of calm down a bit because often when you get into this game as a new trader, you think of earnings as earnings lottos, right? People love to talk about earnings lottos, jackpots, and 1,000%, 2,000%. Uh, Nobody loves to talk about all the like 99 times you lost on them, but and it's funny that one time that it actually works out is probably your first time ever trading
Yeah.
earnings, and you get hooked, and then you lose, what you won plus more. But with experience, and I know you have the same opinion as I do, earnings becomes that opportunity where stocks that are fallen off can come back, you know, and because of them perhaps being sold to death over the last year or so, a lot of players will be offside. You'll have short covering. You'll have some beautiful momentum that, as a day trader, that's all you care about.
Yeah.
And it could present some nice opportunities. So I actually don't care what happened during earnings. I think my opinion doesn't matter really either. But I'm excited for what's ahead, the potential of the setups that we have
Yeah.
ahead, and just being able to, let's say, trade Amazon the way we've been trading, the other names. So yeah, it's a pretty long-winded way of saying that. Yeah, I don't know. Just I'm very excited about the next few months.
Yeah, I agree. I like to view earnings as like playoffs for us in many ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's where a lot of
Okay.
the big opportunities can happen because if you're outside of an earnings cycle, then you have to play themes, and sometimes there's not really many. Like we've been fortunate into the coming into this earnings cycle, we've had crypto really hot, right? Like imagine if liquidity obviously has been a driving force of like some of the space stuff, right? RKLB and
Yeah.
ASTS have been moving for us. Quantums have been moving. So like we've had space, quantum, crypto, risk on basically moving right now. But like if you remove that and you're just watching, Boeing and Amazon and Netflix and whatever, it's like there's really not a lot to do. So I'm in kind of grateful in some ways that the opportunity set has been really good. I mean, we've had a lot of that top op category type trades in Circle and Coin, not just recently, like
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, right? Coin was huge. Circle was huge. The reversion trade was big on that. We've had Hood, right? So,
Yeah.
and then now we're going into earnings, so which is usually where whether it's actually like on earnings or just the kind of aftermath of it, regardless, like you said, it's like this is what's gonna bring about some more opportunity in whatever direction. We don't really care as long as there's trades. So um, I'm excited as well. We're pretty much aligned, right? It's just wait and see, and then
Yeah.
be ready for it. So we got a couple requests. I'm gonna get the MSTR first because someone's been asking since we
Can I
started here.
just
Yeah,
before
yeah, go ahead, go
just
ahead.
before you get into that, just want to call out MP guys. We're making a move here.
Oh, nice.
So MP, I'm in 62 calls for next week. We're breaking above that recent high around 63, and finally starting to accelerate to the upside. This was actually, I don't know if you saw that, Panda, but I actually called out that 63 calls could be something to trade today, just an hour ago on X, for everybody that's watching us there. So if we follow that trade, well done. I opted for next week calls, but it's moving really, really nicely.
Yeah, looks great. We're in price discovery now. Do you have any targets above
Yep. Yep. I can give you 95.57.
95? Sounds good.
95,
I'm not in
57,
it,
and then
but
97.91.
yeah, nice.
Sorry,
Very
go back
nice.
to MSTR. I think that's important.
Yeah, no, good call out on MP. Yeah, active. Just quick update on active positions, guys. Space Monkey's got some MP. That is MP as in monkey paper. I don't know the actual acronyms. Like that. MST. And then for me, I'm holding SPX puts, 6260 puts as roll ups. So those are risk free. And Netflix roll ups. Looking for maybe an end of day 1200 crack. Outside of that, guys, I'm cash. Um, I have, oh, actually, I lied. I have a MSTR swing that got annihilated. It was small size. So just holding that it's for next week. All right. MSTR. Well, speaking of MSTR, so this one, somebody asked, is this, can it turn here? Do you think it can turn? My perspective on this is like, sure, you could get a snapback. It's not like what I like to look for in a turn is for it to find a bottom, establish bottom, and then turn. So like if you're looking at the chart here, excuse me, trying to catch the bottom, I'm not interested in. But if it starts to pop, up and gets constructive, and then kind of consolidates, maybe some higher lows, and then excuse me, turns into the end of the day, like something like this is what I would be interested. That's very defined, right? You can place your stops below. The issue with trading this left side is it's often a guessing game, and even the especially the options trading, if you trade the premiums have a much higher chance of getting chopped up and burned out. Whereas if you wait for the setup to become more defined, like showing here, that can be really really good because it can improve the timing, and also the premiums will expand faster because it's quote unquote like the real move. So trying to like time the bounce back, I'm not interested in trying to catch the left side. The only time I would consider something like that is if it's accelerated quite significantly into like a very key spot, and you're looking just to like scalp it or something. It's just not something you'll see me do much. But big picture, while I'm on MSTR though, big picture, I actually think this is fine. Like I feel like this is a bit of a shakeout. It's tested 457, 456 multiple times. We've talked a lot this week about how significant that is, and it just didn't have the energy to get through. So you're seeing everyone positioned for that break getting kind of washed here. A little bit of a sell the news after everything's been running. So big picture, the EMA's trend, we're back testing the 9. We're actually below it right now. We'll see where this closes. If this can close above 430, 435, I think it looks okay into next week. Not, I have a small swing on this, but it's, we'll see what happens into the end of the week. So that'll be my perspective on the day trading side and also the big picture. Anything to add on MSTR, Space Monkey? And it just didn't have the energy to get through. Whoa.
Sorry. No,
Heard me.
not really. I think. Yeah, I was checking out the stream on X.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. MSTR. I mean, the only thing I would say is that I would watch for a potential snapback. Right, so I usually call these dip fuels. So when the daily breaks out of a range and then it snaps back into that range, creating a little bit of a tail on that daily, on the daily chart, and then you'd expect a break of that 456. And so the idea here is that buyers were unable to break 456, 457. You can see that daily is beautifully, pretty much like flat up top. Just sellers piling in there. And when you get this kind of sell-off day like today, if you can get a fairly quick bounce back towards that 456, 457, once, if you can test it, the odds of that actually breaking is, a lot bigger than, just trading in a range and breaking out of it. So just kind of something to watch. But other than that, yeah, not a whole lot.
Yeah. All right, a couple other chart requests here. So some people asking about ALAB. Can we talk about ALAB? I actually haven't looked at this name in a minute. I am familiar with it. To me, getting back over 100 is positive. Big picture chart. It's done a good job getting over those highs from early back in 2024 on 94. So it's spent a lot of time consolidating right at those previous highs. Really nice recovery on the daily. Yeah, it looks pretty good over 100. Levels above 111, 120, and then the highs 147 are what quickly stand out. Anything to add on ALAB, Astera Labs?
Sorry, I was just getting filled my next week calls here. Yeah, I like this setup. Sorry, I wasn't listening to what you were saying, but I would watch the top of this range breaking.
Yeah.
102, 10, yeah, for a push higher. But this one has earnings coming up in a few weeks, I guess, so something to watch. This one could actually in August. So this one could quickly kind of start moving higher. I think this one is something that a lot of people used to talk about until it like died. Now it's trying to go back.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We've got
IWM is somebody's asking me about IWM.
Okay.
Do you mind if I just go?
Yeah. Go for it.
Cool. daily here. Right, so daily looks tricky. I think big picture, what I'm liking about IWM is now establishing itself above the 200-day moving average. Something that we had a hard time, doing for a bit, like actually recovering it or holding it. And now it feels like that dip a few days ago was almost a test of the 200 held. Okay, we're not pushing higher here, but if you look on the daily on the left, so February of this year, there's a lot of activity there. We're starting to get similar kind of price action around this, and so the market remembers, right? So I always look to the left on the daily to give me a little kind of insight into perhaps why something is doing what it's doing. So what this is telling me is like, as long as we're holding 215, 220 on IWM, I would watch for this like kind of ping ponging action between 230 and 215. And then once you break that 230, 228 area, we can see that run towards all-time highs. So I think it's a little bit hands off for me, IWM. I think it's become a really tricky trade. Like it was easier a few years ago. But yeah, keep that narrative in mind as you're looking at it. But as long as 215 is holding, we're trading in a range until we break out of the top of that range.
Yeah, very nice. Somebody asked about CoreWeave. This actually turned into a nice pullback here today. So we're back under 131. To me, the reversion is pretty active under 131. So some bigger support is not really anything until 100, 104. So this could be a nice opportunity next week. We'll see. It's might start to carve out a bigger range, but there's the price action along the left. There's not a whole lot going on for a while, so you have to kind of wait and see where it finds some pivot, at least from my perspective. But yeah, I was like really looking forward to the reversion trade on this, and it's been very grindy. So not a whole lot else to add. Anything on CoreWeave, Space Monkey?
No, not at all. It's just too young of a trade of a stock. It's the first time it's actually testing the 50-day moving average, which started rendering not too long ago. So take that with a kind of
Yeah.
so I guess. But yeah, I mean, I think 120 saw some nice resistance there for a bit, and then once we broke 120, we saw a push higher. So we're getting that back test, needs to hold, otherwise we can start moving lower to 100 probably.
Yep, I agree. Just 1 second here. Okay. Let's see. Uber. The infamous Uber. I tried to swing on that, and that one did not work. You had a really nice trade on Uber, though. You caught that July 7th day, right? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think so.
Something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Towards that 100.
Mm-hmm. Any thoughts on Uber?
I mean, it's pulling back. It's Uber is kind of stock where whenever people get excited about it, it sells. Like you might get a day or two where it actually does what people want, and then it sells off. But you could draw a trend line actually from the lows of April of this year, and you connect it with the low of the candle on where is it? June 23rd. And if you keep going, you'll get to like where we are right now. So we're kind of trading around that trend line, and so some good support here. Not only this trend line, but you also have the 50-day moving average around 89. So this could provide a nice dip buy here if we can hold 89, or let's just say the 50-day moving average sitting right at 89. I think Uber, like narrative-wise, the story is intact. I don't think there's a whole lot there that is like red flag, right? So if we liked it a couple weeks ago, I think the narrative is still there. They're still investing a bunch of companies and kind of they're expanding their network of robotaxi, and robotaxi, sorry, not robotaxi, but robotaxi, but also robo transportation, and more broadly. And so, yeah, for me, I think 50-day moving average, if you want to nibble a little bit, could be something. If not, there's a little gap below at 88 to 85. That would be something to watch to the downside. But I would short Uber.
Cool. Yeah, just posting a quick update to the room right now.
MP testing 64. Beautiful move today. Beautiful squeeze above that 62.80. MP. Looks like we're moving towards that 65. Potentially moving towards 65. Could be something to see if we can do today, actually. We'll see. Took some off of the 62 calls for next week. Just took some off earlier at 4.
Nice. All right. Let's see. A couple more. Somebody asked about the Qs. I don't really have too much to add on the Qs. I think it's just like what we've previously talked about with the market. I think applies here. We're about to go into earnings season, so we'll see. Does some of the Mag 7 names wake up and sustain us at these levels, or do we get a bit of a pullback? It's kind of, for me, it's wait and see. So the trend is up, and until that changes, or there's a shift in narrative, then you just follow it.
Somebody's asking about Dell. Gonna dive right into it. Dell is interesting because there's this huge trend line on the daily off of those all-time highs, I believe. And we broke out of that just a few weeks ago, maybe a month or so, half ago. And we're seeing a really nice day there today, up 6%. Not really sure why, but I think they got a price PT increase by JPM. But nonetheless, like locally, like on the chart, on the daily, see that I broke that 128. We've been talking about 127.59, 128 for quite a while. And look what happened 3 days ago. It's actually 2 days ago. It dipped. It looked like it was like the end of the world for Dell, and then they ripped it back up higher, and off we go. So it's exactly what I was talking about, regarding that. Like I call them the dip and rip or jet fuel for higher. Sometimes you need to have a little bit of a shakeout, take some stops, catch some new buyers, and break higher. Broadly speaking, I think Dell is looking pretty good. Now we'll just have to see what earnings does, just at end of August. Quite some time until then. But I like Dell. Like broadly speaking, I think we can see 150, 160 by the end of the year. I've also written a piece on X a few months ago. I think a little more than that regarding Dell. It's just I think something to pay attention to.
Yeah, it's
harder trade, better stock.
Yeah, really. Yeah, I agree. Looking like a really nice swing. The weekly is kind of just a kind of massive flag break, like huge.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if you can see what I'm sharing on Discord here. But
yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. Let me go to it.
Yeah,
well, I
so
mean,
you
I
see
wasn't.
those blue lines?
One sec.
So when I
Okay,
wrote,
yeah, I just drew the same, like almost the same time.
right. So when I wrote that piece regarding Dell, I think we were trading around here, and I said if you could hold the bottom, like the bottom of this triangle, could be nice long. Now it did break, but then it came back, and now we're actually making that move higher.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it kind of gives me a little. It's structurally a little different, but the way Oracle's been acting, it's like kind of same
Oracle.
space-ish, like conversation. Anyways, man, just these names are seeing an awakening. They have been viewed as kind of like slower forever, and in many respects, daily they can be, but like what a resurgence, right? Oracle, Dell.
I mean, it's a lot of it has to do with like AI. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, AI is just infusing new energy into these.
Mm-hmm.
So,
like look at Cisco. It's not a name I'd like ever look at, but Cisco was back in .com was like massive parabolic runner. It had broke during the like They're
Yeah,
02 or the
there it
2000
is.
bust. Yeah, but there. And like almost all the way back. So like that's, no one, or not a lot of people, I should say, talk too much about this name, but think about context here. Like we get, we've almost recovered to those 2000 highs. That's pretty wild to think about. You're talking about a
Yeah.
25 year recovery. So what happens when it gets over 82? It becomes a little bit of a different stock, maybe. So
Yeah, incredible. Just I haven't looked at this chart like that far back, but yeah.
yeah, I don't even know why I thought of it, but this is crazy. Well, actually, somebody put out, it might have been the short pair. The similarity between .com um, and right now. It was actually like very very interesting. I'll have to see if I can pull up that post. All right, guys, if there's any other charts, questions, let us know in the chat. We'll hang out for a little bit, maybe a couple more minutes, just kind of watching the market, and then we'll wrap up. We'll look to do more lives for those that are tuning in uh, on the public. So, see, somebody asked about Reddit. So this got brought up in Spaces a couple days ago. We talked about that 139 level. This one's a bit of a harder trade. Like there's definitely more active themes in the market right now. But that being said, technically 139 is definitely holding super well. So when are earnings for this? Let's see. Reddit.
I'm I'm looking at Tesla chart.
Okay. July 31st, Reddit, guys. So usually it moves a good bit on earnings. So big picture though, daily chart. It's holding its EMAs a little bit slower, like I said, than compared to other themes, but it is holding 139 quite well. So not sure how you look to get involved with that, but technically speaking, over 139 looks pretty constructive. Below it, you've got support at 127. Above, some resistance around 158, 160s. All right, you said
Tesla's had a
Tesla.
good day today. I haven't looked at it too much because it's just been a harder trade, and probably best just to wait for higher. Um, but if you look on the daily, you can see that when we were trading below the 200 day, the top of that range was around 290. So once we broke that 290, we saw a huge run to 360, almost 370. And the last few kind of weeks, a couple months here, we've been ping ponging back towards that top of the range, the 290 area, and we've held. And so if you look at the daily, you have a double bottom pretty much. So you had that push into 370, and then you had the first pullback down to 272 on that drama between Musk and Trump. And then you saw this resurgence again into that 360 area, and then another pullback just a few days ago, marking another bottom. And if you look to the left here, you can see that we have basically the top of that range. So double bottom on that. Now you're seeing this real nice move higher on Tesla. So worth mentioning that earnings is next week, I believe on the 23rd. So it's going to be interesting to see what that what that does.
Yeah.
Nobody knows, but let's see. But just kind of looking at the chart for the first time in a bit here,
Yeah.
Tesla daily.
I'm aligned with you. I would say like I dog on this one a lot just because of how news driven it's been. But
Yeah.
that being said, like it's like one of those, given the market context and like how good the market
Yep.
is right now, it just
Yep.
wouldn't be surprising whatsoever to see this just go to 400, right? Like for what it's worth. So it is definitely coiled on the chart you've got up there, and we'll see. Maybe earnings is that catalyst that gets it going.
Or it's a big ass. Can I say ass? A big,
Sure.
yeah, okay, big ass bear flag on the weekly,
Let's take a look at that.
maybe.
Maybe.
Right? Like we've held a few times. We're back testing the range again. So we'll see. We'll see. But
Probably more so if that 273 low is like lower first.
right.
But
Yeah,
yeah, I mean
273 breaks. We'll see two like that 200 area again.
17. Yeah,
215.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. As far as like people curious, like, oh, are there any end of day setups? I just see a bunch of chop here. I think that's why Panda and I are talking more broadly about the market and what's going on. I think strategically, like, I think it's probably best just sit on hands here. And you know me, like I'm all down for like trading end of days, scalping and stuff, but it's just not a whole lot going on here. And I
Yeah.
know, like personally, and us at TWI, we've had a pretty good week so far. We've had a couple good months actually, but
Yeah.
this week has been good to us. We traded coin earlier to the upside, which is just like feels like ancient times as it's going red here. Um, and so because of that, I'm being a little bit more like chill. I might like leave the desk early today just to do something else with the family. Uh, but yeah, I mean, I don't see anything. The only thing I saw was that MP trade, and it's playing out really nice if you caught that 63 call. But other than that, it's just pretty dead here.
Yeah.
OPEX kind of action.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at. I agree with you. I think it's going to be about the last 30 minutes, right? Like, well,
Okay, yeah.
you sometimes get something, but you might not as well. But I'm with you. I don't think we have had a very good week. Um, so yeah, I'm just sitting in some runners, and that's pretty much it. So that said, if there's we'll wait just a minute or so here. If there's more questions related to trading or whatever else, let us know, or any other charts. We'll get to that, but we'll wrap up a little bit in just a
Good.
minute.
Yeah, we should do this more often, Panda. This is fun.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Finally set up. Shout out to Nick. We got the stream stuff set up, so we can do it very easily now.
It's the best.
Also, what I have on the screen, guys, is the Options Death product. So just quick shout out to them for providing
Oh, nice.
this awesome tool that helps us see the gamma landscape. If you're totally new or have no idea what that is, it's just basically, simply put, allows you to see dealer positioning, which is something that to me is pretty remarkable for retail traders to be able to have visibility into it. So very cool. I won't get into details, but um, you could always just send us a message if you're wanting to learn more, or go over to their page and check them out. So right now, for what it's worth, we are in some negative gamma, which basically just means dealers are going to move with the price. When it's lighter like this, you can see price move a little bit more volatile within the range. So we're just kind of in between this gamma flip line where we're between negative and positive gamma. So essentially, what you can expect behaviorally is in negative gamma, a little bit more fast, volatile price action. Um, and then below into positive gamma, typically things start to get slowed down as dealers hedge against the price movement. So if we start to kind of crack down here, once we get into 6270s, 6260, you'd expect to see some kind of slowdown in price and potentially find support there. So, anyways, just a quick update on that, and I think why don't we wrap it up there? So if you guys have other questions, let us know in the chat, as always. But thanks for tuning in if you did, and otherwise we'll see you next time. Thanks, Space Monkey.